Do you wish that all things wealth and finance were much easier to understand and not presented by a bunch of beige cardigan-wearing geeks? Welcome to the Clever Investor Podcast, where we're dishing up the easiest to understand finance program served in bite-sized chunks, so your brain will thank you as your knowledge grows. Hosted by the brilliant Owen Taylor, a multiple award-winning expert with a glorious knack for explaining the complex world of wealth in the simplest of ways.
Hey Clever Investors, and welcome to the Clever Investor Podcast, your go-to source for property investment insights in Australia. I'm Owen Taylor, and we're unpacking a fundamental concept that impacts every mortgage holder, saver and investor out there: the cash rate. We'll break it down into simple terms, explain how it works and why it matters to you as a property investor. So let's dive straight in. Now, the question often asked is, what exactly is the cash rate? In simple terms, the cash rate is the interest rate that banks pay to borrow money from other banks in the overnight money market. Now, why would banks need to do this? Well, banks need to manage their liquidity. That is, making sure they've got enough cash on hand to meet their daily needs. These overnight loans between banks help balance things out, and the rate of interest they pay on these loans is called the cash rate. This is where it gets important for all of us. The cash rate doesn't just affect banks. It influences almost every interest rate in the economy, including your home loan and the savings accounts you have. When the cash rate goes up, borrowing money becomes more expensive. And when it goes down, borrowing becomes cheaper. Let's talk about how the cash rate is set. Now, in previous podcasts, we've talked about the Reserve Bank of Australia, or we abbreviate it to the RBA. They use the cash rate as a tool to implement monetary policy. The RBA Board meets to decide whether to change the cash rate target. That's the level that they want the cash rate to sit at. A media release announces their decision, and it comes out at 2:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting. And if there's a change to the cash rate target, it takes effect the next day. This cash rate is what influences the interest rates banks set for their loans and deposits. So when the RBA adjusts the cash rate, banks usually follow suit pretty quickly. Normally within a week or maybe 2 weeks, they'll actually effect the change. They'll announce what they're going to do fairly soon. That's a bit of a marketing thing, but then the wheels take a little bit longer to turn and you'll actually see the rate decrease maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month afterwards. Depends on the bank. And that's what all us property investors keep such a close eye on. You might hear the cash rate called the Australian Overnight Index Average. It's considered a near risk-free benchmark rate for the Australian dollar, and it plays a big role in our financial system. But what really matters is how the cash rate impacts you and I as property investors. A low cash rate generally means lower mortgage repayments, which can improve your cash flow and make investing much more attractive. On the flip side, when the cash rate rises, so do your repayments, which can squeeze the cash flow and potentially impact your investment strategy. That's why understanding where the cash rate is heading can help you make informed decisions about when to buy, hold, or even the time to sell that investment property. So what's the takeaway here? The cash rate is so much more than just a number you hear on the news. It's a key economic signal that affects your investment journey. By keeping an eye out on the Reserve Bank of Australia's announcements and understanding the broader economic environment, you can stay ahead of the game and make smarter property decisions. Thanks for tuning in to the Clever Investor podcast. I'll catch you next time for more insights into building wealth through property investment.
You have been listening to the Clever Investor podcast, proudly sponsored this week by Blue Wealth Property. Are you ready to start a new investment journey? Get in touch with the industry leaders, Blue Wealth Property. Blue Wealth have a proven track record in using research to identify growth markets, and Blue Wealth have supported thousands of Australians to buy the right property in the right market at the right time. Go to bluewealth.com.au.